One night, a couple was on a road trip through a remote and isolated area. They were driving along a winding road with dense forests on both sides, far away from any towns or cities. It was late at night, and the darkness seemed to envelop everything around them. As they continued down the road, they noticed a strange vehicle behind them, following closely. The headlights of the vehicle were blinding, and the couple felt uneasy. They tried to shake off the other driver by taking different turns and increasing their speed, but the vehicle persisted, never falling far behind. Growing more alarmed, they decided to pull over at the next gas station they came across to get some distance from the mysterious driver. But when they arrived at the gas station, it was deserted, with no sign of any other cars or people. Feeling uneasy, they quickly got back into their car and continued driving. The other vehicle was still following them, and the couple couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. As they drove further, the road became more desolate, and they realized they were low on gas. With no other options, they had to keep going until they found another gas station. Eventually, they spotted a flickering light in the distance, indicating a gas station ahead. Relieved, they made their way toward it, hoping to get help and safety. However, as they got closer, the gas station seemed to disappear before their eyes, leaving them in complete darkness once again. The mysterious vehicle behind them was still there, and their fear intensified. They decided to call for help, but their phones had no signal in the remote area. Feeling trapped and terrified, they continued driving, not knowing what else to do. After what felt like an eternity, they finally came across a small town and saw the lights of civilization in the distance. They hurriedly drove towards it, and as they entered the town, the mysterious vehicle suddenly disappeared, as if it had never been there at all. Shaken and grateful to have escaped the eerie encounter, they checked into a nearby hotel for the night. They never found out who or what was following them that dark night on the road trip, but the memory of the chilling experience stayed with them forever. A group of college friends decided to embark on a road trip during their summer break. They planned an adventurous journey through a remote and lesser-known route that would take them through vast landscapes and unfamiliar territories. As they set off on their journey, the excitement of exploration filled the air. The first day of their road trip went smoothly, with breathtaking scenery and laughter echoing in the car. However, as night fell, they realized they were in for a unique experience. The road they were traveling on led them through dense woods, far away from any towns or cities. With no streetlights to guide them, the darkness outside seemed all-encompassing. The only source of light came from their car's headlights, revealing the narrow path ahead. As they drove deeper into the night, the atmosphere inside the car shifted from excitement to a mix of nervousness and curiosity. The darkness outside played tricks on their minds, as shadows danced in the periphery of their vision. In the distance, they spotted an old and abandoned-looking house. Intrigued, they decided to stop and explore the eerie structure. They approached cautiously, and as they stepped inside, an unsettling feeling washed over them. The air inside the house felt heavy, and the silence was deafening. Each step they took echoed through the empty halls. They discovered forgotten belongings scattered around, hinting at the house's past inhabitants. As they continued to explore, one of the friends claimed to have heard faint whispers coming from one of the rooms. They brushed it off as their imagination, but the feeling of being watched lingered. As they made their way back to the car, they noticed strange symbols carved into the walls, leaving them puzzled and unnerved. Despite the chilling encounter, they decided to continue their road trip, leaving the old house behind. The dark road stretched on, and the friends tried to shake off the eerie experience. They stopped at a remote gas station to refuel, only to find it deserted. The silence seemed to be all-encompassing, making them feel isolated and on edge. The friends resumed their journey, but the atmosphere inside the car had changed. Laughter and excitement were replaced with hushed voices and apprehension. They couldn't help but feel like they were being watched, even as they drove further away from the abandoned house. As the night wore on, they encountered more strange occurrences, odd lights in the distance, unexplained noises in the woods, and unsettling feelings of being followed. The darkness seemed to hold secrets they couldn't comprehend. Finally, as the first rays of dawn broke through the horizon, the friends heaved a sigh of relief. they had made it through the long and eerie night. Though their road trip was filled with unforgettable experiences, the chilling memories of the dark and mysterious journey would stay with them forever. On a moonless night, a lone traveler found themselves driving along a deserted and desolate highway. The road seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness, surrounded by dense woods on either side. The only source of light was the car's headlights, which illuminated the road ahead but left everything else cloaked in shadows. As the traveler drove on, an eerie feeling washed over them, as if they were not alone on this desolate road. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of the engine and the occasional rustling of leaves outside. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, the traveler pressed on, determined to reach their destination. But as the night wore on, strange occurrences began to unfold. Shadows seemed to move on their own, dancing and contorting in the corners of their vision. Suddenly, the car's radio crackled to life, emitting an otherworldly static that sent chills down the traveler's spine. They quickly turned off the radio, hoping to silence the unnerving sound. But even in silence, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. As they drove further into the darkness, a faint light appeared in the distance. Relieved, they thought it might be a gas station or a rest stop. But as they drew nearer, the light flickered and vanished, leaving them in complete darkness once again. Unease gnawed at the traveler's heart, and they couldn't help but wonder if they were driving through some kind of supernatural phenomenon. The road seemed to twist and turn in ways they couldn't comprehend, and the landscape around them seemed to shift and change as they drove on. As the night wore on, the travelers started to question their own sanity. The darkness played tricks on their mind, conjuring images of ghostly figures and strange apparitions on the road. They tried to dismiss these thoughts as mere products of fatigue and imagination, but the fear persisted. Suddenly, the car's headlights flickered, and the engine sputtered. Panicked, the traveler tried to restart the car, but it refused to budge. Stranded in the darkness, far away from any signs of civilization, they were left with no choice but to wait for help. Feeling vulnerable and alone, they locked the car doors and waited for what felt like an eternity. Every sound outside amplified their anxiety, the rustling of leaves, distant footsteps, and eerie howls that seemed to echo through the night. Just as despair began to set in, the sound of an approaching engine broke the silence. Headlights appeared in the distance, growing brighter with each passing moment. A sense of relief washed over the traveler as a friendly face approached to offer assistance. The stranger helped jumpstart the car, and the engine roared back to life. With gratitude, the traveler thanked the kind stranger and continued their journey, leaving the dark and mysterious night drive behind them. As they drove away, the traveler couldn't help but wonder about the strange occurrences of that night. Was it just a series of coincidences and natural phenomena, or had they truly experienced something otherworldly? Whatever the answer, the memory of that dark night drive would stay with them forever, a chilling reminder of the mysteries that lurk in the shadows of the night. On a cool, starless night, a weary traveler found themselves driving along a remote and unfamiliar road. The surrounding area was shrouded in darkness, with only the dim glow of the car's headlights to guide the way. The road ahead seemed endless, leading deeper into a dense forest. As the traveler continued on, an eerie silence enveloped the car. The rhythmic hum of the engine was the only sound that pierced the darkness. The road seemed to narrow, and the tall trees on either side cast haunting shadows that danced in the periphery of the traveler's vision. A sense of unease washed over the traveler as if an invisible presence was watching them from the depths of the forest. To dispel the feeling of isolation, they turned on the car radio. However, instead of finding comfort in music or chatter, they were met with static and disjointed voices, sending shivers down their spine. As they drove on, the radio static seemed to grow louder, drowning out all other sounds. Frustrated and unnerved, the traveler turned off the radio and drove in silence, hoping to find solace in the darkness. With each passing mile, the forest seemed to close in around them, making the road feel claustrophobic and suffocating. The car's headlights illuminated the path ahead, revealing glimpses of unsettling sights, abandoned vehicles, old, dilapidated structures, and peculiar markings on the road. As they continued deeper into the night, the traveler noticed a strange figure standing at the side of the road. It appeared to be a person, but their face was obscured by darkness. The traveler couldn't shake off the feeling that this encounter was more than a mere coincidence. Nervously, they slowed down as they passed the figure, but when they looked back in the rearview mirror, it was gone. The traveler's heart pounded in their chest, and an overwhelming urge to turn back filled their mind. But they pressed on, unable to resist the pull of the unknown. Suddenly, the car's headlights flickered, plunging the traveler into momentary darkness. Panic surged through them as they frantically tried to regain control. The headlights came back on, but the road ahead seemed to shift and twist in disorienting ways. Time lost its meaning as the traveler felt trapped in a never-ending loop. They couldn't tell if they were driving in circles or moving forward at all. The forest seemed to mock them, offering no escape from the enigmatic night drive. As the night wore on, exhaustion began to take its toll. The travelers' eyes grew heavy, and they struggled to stay focused on the road. Hallucinations teased the edges of their vision, blurring the line between reality and imagination. Finally, as the first light of dawn broke through the horizon, the darkness gradually lifted, and the mysterious night drive came to an end. The traveler emerged from the forest, weary and shaken but relieved to be free from the eerie grip of the night. Though the details of that dark night drive remained elusive, the memory of the haunting experience would forever be etched in the traveler's mind. It was a journey that had tested their courage and resolve, leaving them with a newfound respect for the enigmatic forces that lurk in the shadows of the night. On a chilling and moonless night, 3 friends embarked on a road trip to celebrate their college graduation. They had heard rumors of a haunted road that led through a dense and desolate forest, and being thrill-seekers, they decided to take the infamous route. As they ventured deeper into the night, the darkness outside seemed to envelop them, and an eerie silence settled inside the car. The only source of light was the car's headlights, which barely pierced the thick gloom, casting eerie shadows along the road. Despite their excitement, the friends couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling that they were being watched. The forest seemed to come alive with strange noises, rustling leaves, distant howls, and unexplained whispers that sent shivers down their spines. They tried to brush off their fears, attributing them to their imagination and the stories they had heard about the haunted road. However, as they drove on, the atmosphere inside the car grew increasingly tense, and their laughter turned into nervous chuckles. Suddenly, the car's radio started emitting a low and unnerving static, which drowned out their attempts to find a clear channel. They tried to switch it off, but the static persisted, and the voices seemed to grow louder and more distorted. Feeling a growing sense of dread, they decided to turn the radio off completely and rely on the sound of their own voices to keep their minds off the eerie drive. They tried to engage in conversation and play music from their phones, but the unease never left them. As they continued on the haunted road, the car's headlights occasionally flickered, casting the road into darkness for split seconds. Each time it happened, the friends held their breath, their hearts pounding in fear. Then, out of nowhere, they saw a figure standing on the side of the road. It appeared to be a woman, dressed in tattered clothing, and she seemed to be waving for help. The friends debated whether to stop or not, torn between their desire to help and the fear that this might be something more sinister. Eventually, they decided to pull over, their curiosity getting the better of them. As they approached the woman, she turned to face them, revealing hollow and lifeless eyes. The friends were paralyzed with fear, unable to look away from her haunting gaze. But as suddenly as she appeared, the woman vanished into thin air, leaving the friends terrified and bewildered. They rushed back to their car and drove away as fast as they could, leaving the haunted road and the strange apparition behind. The remainder of their road trip was plagued by a haunting feeling of unease. Though they reached their destination safely, the friends couldn't forget the chilling encounter on the dark night drive. It was an experience that would forever remind them of the thin line between reality and the paranormal, and the hidden terrors that could lurk on the roads less traveled at night. Thank you again for joining us for another video. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe and comment down below and let us know what you would like to hear in the near future. See you all again soon.